Oh.
Yo!
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Phil.
You gonna come out?
How many times have I got to tell people I'm not gay?
No, I mean come out to a club. Pick up some girlies.
Oh, and do it with them. Now you're talking.
Sure, 'cause I like doing it with girls as well.
As well as what?
As well as you do, of course.
Oh, look out, girls.
It really is great being totally straight. Taking lots of girlies out on a date. Talking about soccer and scratching your balls. Drinking 20 pints and pissing up walls. We're glad not to be gay. Mind you, who cares in this day and age? But don't ever dare say, or else we'll sue the pants off of you.
Hello, ya Ron. Today's video, a proper deep dive into what happened when ITV met a Commons Select Committee. To use that old song, there are more questions than answers, Your Honour. So, Commons Select Committee, they were sat in usual formation with 3 from ITV, and I'm not sure how long this video is going to take, but I promise you, near the end, I'm going to ask 5 very pointed and very pertinent questions that weren't asked in front of the Commons Committee, and I think they should have been. They're my main takeaways. I watched the whole thing, all of it. Every single syllable and word from all of them. I watched the whole event. And here's some of the things that I took away. And, well, as I say, more questions than answers. So it was Commons Select Committee versus Dame Carolyn McCall. Kevin Ligo, Managing Director of Media and Entertainment at ITV, and the Company Secretary and General Counsel, Kyla Mullins. So there's 3 of them. Should have given a very good account of themselves. But did they? So some of the press have cottoned onto it today, but they're dealing with other things, Boris and other things that's going on in life. So this has just very conveniently gone under the carpet. Not on this video, it hasn't. I'm going to quote Dame Carolyn McCall. We don't look at Twitter. ITV got 27 Twitter accounts. What about all those people that you hire to curate your Twitter accounts? Surely somewhere at the top of the food chain could have passed an edict down going, can you just look at this for me? Just check this out. Because that's how Philip Schofield started the whole conversation with young Matthew McGreevy. Oh, sorry, Person X. And there's another thing. Why are they calling someone that we know the name of Person X? The media are calling him Person X. He's a 27, 28-year-old bloke, man. And Dame Carolyn McCall started it all, roughly, by saying, we're concerned for the mental health state of Philip Schofield and Person X. Why call him Person X? He's a former employee of ITV. So there must have been contracts. And within contracts, I'm sure the detail in there would say that they can do all kinds of bits and pieces. Obviously, contracts are normally weighted in favour of whomever is issuing the contract. If I was joining a radio station, the contracts were always weighted in favour of the radio station, never the freelance broadcaster. But if he's a former employee of ITV, why don't they just come out and say, yeah, a guy called Matthew McGreevy, he was a former employee of ITV? Because that would be factual. And I can't see any law which says that you can't, unless there is something in the background that they're not telling us about. So Dame Carolyn McCall said there was no investigation. We kind of informally chatted with both parties, and both parties denied the relationship. I mean, so how many times did you ask Philip? Well, a couple. How many times did you ask Matthew McGreevy? Sorry, Person X. 12. So why are you asking the newbie, the new kid on the block, 12 times, and Philip Schofield just gets a, Phil, what's going on, man? Dame Carolyn McCall said there's a duty of care to both. Yeah, exactly. So if there is a duty of care to both, the care that you issue to both should be of equal parity. No, not... Well, we asked Phil a couple of times. Phil, do you fancy beer? Oh, by the way, what's playtime Thursday? So let me ask you this question. This picture popped up of Matthew McGreevy and Philip Schofield in a pub in the Northwest, Lakes, Cumbria-ish, 10 days ago. What was Philip Schofield and Matthew McGreevy doing together in a pub up in the northwest of England 10 days ago? And if you look at the picture, Matthew McGreevy's body language isn't great. I mean, he's the only one that's taken a sup out of the beer. Are they having chasers with that beer? Blimey, hardcore. So, ITV, according to Dame Carolyn McCall, have got a duty of care to both. There was any evidence? Well, if there had been any evidence, we would have held a formal investigation. So, hang on. Phil, are you having an inappropriate relationship with the young runner? No? That'll do. Dame Carolyn McCall, I would never turn a blind eye to anything like this. Phil, you, no. Okay. Person X, McGreevy, left the company in 2021 and was offered a package of support. Let me just get it right. So, again, more questions than answers. So, a runner, lowest of the low on the TV food chain, lowest of the low, gets a package of support. Why? I mean, this is a question that the committee should have asked Dame Carolyn McCall. Does ITV offer a package of support to every single freelance employee or staff employee that comes into the domain of ITV? And she said, well, obviously they didn't ask that question. I'm asking that because I'd like to know the answer. And she said, Dame Carolyn McCall said, well, there's been a lot of media intrusion. I mean, the media have turned up at his workplace, the pub, and at his parents' home. Of course, because the press know who he is. That's what I'm saying about Person X. Why are they using this epithet, this moniker? Person X. When there's no need to use that. Unless there is something legally in the background that we're not being told, and I have no knowledge of that. Basically, it's a former employee of ITV who's now in his mid to late 20s, and realistically, everybody knows the name of. Why all this pretense in front of the Commons Committee? They said that Person X, when he left ITV in 2021, had a standard settlement. A settlement? Oh yeah, he was made redundant. Redundant? After a couple of years? Now, isn't it normally... is it a month for every year that you work for somebody? So the standard settlement. But they didn't ask what that standard settlement was. What? So, I mean, I know that it wasn't a witch hunt. I know that it wasn't a kangaroo court. I know that all of those things that people might throw at the Commons Committee. But why didn't they ask what that standard settlement was? And then Dame Carolyn McCall said, oh, there's no impediments. There's no gagging, no NDA, no non-disclosure agreement. So what was it? Was it a personal agreement with Matthew McGreevy? If you're saying there's no impediments, why is it that he's not coming forward? More questions than answers, but I'm going to address that in just a little while. So they didn't give the details of the package. And in any of this, in public life, whether it's from the royal family or down through politics or into showbiz or anybody that's getting a fair whack as remuneration for their job, there's always deniability. There always has to be deniability. So somebody that runs a large company with lots of employees, if anything kicks off, you just go, I have people that look after that. Doesn't come to my desk. But actually, the buck stops with the chief exec, with God. And God, in this case, is Dame Carolyn McCall. And did you know that Kevin Ligo, when answering a question from the committee, said, oh yes, we offered further work to Philip Schofield. This was before he fessed up to lying, barefacedly, but they did offer further work to Philip Schofield. So you know the Daily Mirror that's trying to work out where he's going to go next, if anywhere. And they're making stories up. And I will look at that in a different video. But Kevin Ligo said, oh yeah, we offered further work to Philip Schofield. Kevin Ligo also said that Philip Schofield looked him in the eye and said, there's no truth to the rumours, Kevin. 3 days later, I lied to you. I lied to everybody. I lied to ITV. I lied to me missus. I lied to everybody. Lied to ITV. Lied to Holly Willoughby. Lied to his agency. Lied to anybody, including Kevin Ligo. Kevin Ligo came out and said it in front of the committee. He lied to me. So another question, because we didn't really get an answer from that. What was it that made Philip Schofield change his mind and cough? What was it? Was it damage limitation? I don't know. You tell me. Give me your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Kevin Ligo said to Philip Schofield, what can we do to make this go away? And Philip Schofield says, Kevin, there's no truth. So Dame Carolyn McCall also said, and I quote, I have zero tolerance for abuse of position. So at the point she finds out that young Phil is having plate time Thursdays, because everybody knew, why didn't she invoke zero tolerance? I'll quote her again. I have zero tolerance for abuse of position. That's what she said to the Commons Committee. So why didn't she do anything about it? When she was asked about the toxic culture at ITV, oh, we don't recognise that at This Morning. Well, let me give you some of the detail that followed that. Oh, we don't recognise that at This Morning. Let me give you that she quoted via the company secretary, Kyla Mullins, that there'd only been 2 complaints in 5 years, Agincourt. 2. One was public. That was Raj Singh, and it wasn't upheld. And there was another one. Didn't go into detail. Didn't give any names. Didn't give any detail. Didn't say whether it was upheld or not. That'll be the Ruth Langsford complaint that mysteriously has been swept under the carpet. So if I'd been on the committee, I would have said to Dame Carolyn McCall, Dame McCall, what was the other complaint? Was that the one from Ruth Langsford? And what happened to that? What was the detail and what happened? What was the outcome? More questions than answers. So they then quoted Eamon Holmes. Eamon Holmes' tweet was quoted. Dame Carolyn McCall said, no, I don't look at Twitter. Well, you've got 27 Twitter accounts, man. It was simply nothing beyond hearsay and rumour. Oh, it turns out it was, Dame McCall. It was way beyond hearsay and rumour. Playtime Thursday. So, Philip Schofield, seemingly, according to Dame Carolyn McCall, introduced Person X to ITV. Hang on a second. So he must have known Person X, Matthew McGreevy, must have known Matthew McGreevy prior to anything happening at ITV. Philip Schofield introduced him to ITV, and ITV thought that Matthew McGreevy was a family friend. They thought he was a friend of Philip Schofield's family. More questions than answers, because then you could go down a real deep rabbit hole, so to speak. Philip Schofield gave Person X the contacts in ITV to contact. Didn't say whether he said, say this, say you know me, or whatever, or paved the way for Matthew McGreevy to get into ITV. Why wasn't that asked? The flow of information they haven't really questioned it at all, ITV. Or certainly they would have, if they thought it was in their best interest yesterday, they would have quoted it. They would have given it to the committee. Now, when you remember they said both parties were treated equally and they got equal support and ongoing support, and we asked them both whether they were in a relationship or not, or what was going on, and was told, no, it's all rumour, it's all lies. So how many times do you think they asked Philip Schofield, here, Phil, what's going on, man? Are you, no? How many times? They said 2 or 3. How many times was Matthew McGreevy, Person X? How many times did they ask him whether there was anything going on? 12 times. So the little greeble, the youngster, the green banana that's coming into ITV, professes undying love at the 2018 National Television Awards, they ask him, is anything going on? 12 times. Philip, less than a handful. You would think that the 50-something male who's got world experience, TV, media experience, knows the game backwards, they should be saying to him, here, Phil, more than the youngster who's just ambitious and wants to get into telly. Less than a handful. Matthew McGreevy, 12 times. And each of them said no. Well, they're bound to. Because look, do you know anyone, if, say, I don't know, your partner was having their wicked way with your neighbour, and you tackled them, you just had an instinct, and you tackled them about what was going on, what do you think they would say? No? So each time they asked Matthew McGreevy, he said no. But I would put a pound or a penny bet that if I was in a nefarious relationship, which I shouldn't be in, and somebody asked me, the person I was in the relationship that I'd denied, I'd be going to them saying, oh, I've had another one. Yeah, they're asking me if we're having playtime Thursday. Obviously, I told them no. Dame Carolyn McCall said she took power imbalance seriously. That's a pretty serious word, seriously. The rumours were rife, she said, about inappropriateness. Define inappropriateness then? I mean, it just trips off the tongue, doesn't it? If I was on the committee, I'd say, okay, define inappropriateness for me so I can get understanding. So Dame Carolyn McCall said it would have been deeply inappropriate. Oh, the master of understatement. Deeply inappropriate with someone so junior. There would have been a huge power imbalance. You bet your sweet bibby. Oh, so when they can go into the detail, they go into the detail. And when they can't, moving swiftly on. So they were asked about Person X, Matthew McGreevy, being Philip Schofield's personal runner. No. Just general. Was he his personal PA? No such thing. So, as has been reported in the press, he was his personal runner? No. He was his personal PA? No such thing. So Philip Schofield to ITV, when they had their conversation, I quote, "This situation can't go on." That's when Philip Schofield chose to step down. But at no time during the conversation with the committee and answering the questions was Holly Willoughby's name mentioned. Not one. She sat next to him 15 years. 4 days a week, 15 years-ish. Not once was her name mentioned. Oh, I wonder why that was then. Dame Carolyn McCall, Martin Frizzell, the aubergine king. It was ill-advised, that aubergine line. It was a foolish comment, to quote Dame Carolyn McCall. Foolish comment, again, Master of understatement. So then, honestly, these committees, you've got to watch them because it's all theatre. Theatre, darling. And what they do is they just send in the forward parties. So they ask nice, gentle, oh, what about this and what about that? And then the ninja assassin comes in and does pointy things like asking straight questions. Dame Carolyn McCall. Now, John Nicholson seemingly was a presenter on, was it Talk Radio back in the day? He's now SNP for Ochil and South Perthshire in Scotland. A place I know very well and I love to bits. Scotland is just breathtaking. So John Nicholson, he's right, it doesn't mess about. Typical Scot. Straight talking, straight to the point. So, was there any evidence of bullying and toxicity? From my sources, this is John Nicholson, from my sources, daytime is toxic. From his sources, not Dame Carolyn McCall's, not ITV's, a sitting MP in the House of Parliament. My sources say daytime was toxic. ITV pretend to investigate, quote. And John Nicholson asked the question, was Philip Schofield putting Person X under pressure? Now, I've sort of intimated that Philip's 50-odd years. He's 50-odd-year-old. He's got 40 years in telly from the 80s, from the Broom Cupboard all the way through all the massive shows that he's presented and anchored. Is he an anchor? And he would have the life experience and media experience. And John Nicholson, I'm sure, by asking this question, was very worried that undue pressure was being put on a very young guy. And then Dame Carolyn McCall, as some kind of defence, I think, said, well, you know, there's just the usual applications. If people want jobs, and normally runners are very ambitious and they want to move up the food chain, or they want to go, that's my phrase, not hers, but they want to go up and get better jobs and more money, evidently. Matthew McGreevy applied for a job at This Morning and didn't get it. You don't say. And then he applied, formal application, for a job at Loose Women and got the job. Whoa, that was convenient. I mean, normally in commerce, in business, how do you get rid of someone that's doing the do? You promote them. What's the old Peter principle? You are promoted to your level of incompetence. So if you want something to go away, just promote them. Or just say, here, why don't you apply for that job at This Morning? Oh, you didn't get it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, have you heard about the job going at Loose Women? Why don't you apply for that? And he gets it. Whoa, there's the problem gone. It's gone out the door. It's gone over to Loose Women. Friends of Person X told John Nicholson, because obviously I can't name that particular source, that the relationship was an open secret. Playtime Thursday. The relationship, I quote, was an open secret. But no one looked at social media at the time. I mean, you've got a TV star of nearly 40 years at the top of his game. It's commercial TV, so there's a lot of money at stake, tens and tens and tens of millions of pounds at stake. Why wasn't somebody looking after Philip Schofield's social media accounts for him? Because he shouldn't really have been interacting with kids. Because if you look at this, he was interacting with Matthew McGreevy before Matthew McGreevy was 16 or 18. So it also came out in questioning. So I take my hat off to John Nicholson. He proper got into their ribs, proper. And he asked some very pointed questions, which they kind of did, but didn't answer with any great detail. As I say, if they were going to give detail, they gave detail. But when they didn't, they sort of danced around a bit, and Dame Carolyn McCall gave it to the company secretary. Kevin Ligo confirmed that Philip Schofe lied. And they were just looking for, and I'm sure that the shareholders would want to see directors of the company or the higher up executives trying to do their best by A, the company, and B, their employees. And that was part of the main thrust from Dame Carolyn McCall, that they have quite a few employees and they just want to do the best by them. And they put certain things in place now that it's 2023. Certainly after Person X left the company, they put things in place to be able to negate anything like this happening again. And do you think it'll happen again? What is it in the past? People are saying it's not the fact that you do it, it's the fact that you got caught out. So here's some of my questions. As I said near the end of the video, towards the end of the video, I was going to ask about my main takeaways from what happened in front of the Commons Committee. I am going to ask question number 1. It's a fairly pointed question, and this hasn't been answered by anyone. Why is Philip Schofield paying for lawyer or lawyers for Matthew McGreevy? Why would Person X or Matthew McGreevy need a lawyer? And why is Philip Schofield paying for them? Surely that's a conflict of interest. You've been having playtime Thursdays, you've been lying to everybody, and then you give them a lawyer. Free. You're paying for it. So, a subsection of that particular question, why is Philip Schofield paying for a lawyer for Matthew McGreevy? I'll ask you the question. Do you think it is a clever way of keeping Matthew McGreevy, Person X, away from the press? Because if you've got somebody there on tap, on call, you would pick your phone up and go, hello, Mr. Lawyer. What do you think I should say? Say out. So giving sage advice, why is Philip Schofield paying for it? When there's nothing to say. There is nothing. We're being told there's not a story. Or is there? Because if you just came out and told the truth, who would care? Look, we cannot choose who we love. You just love. And if two people meet and fall in love, who are we to deny or decry that? So if it was a genuine love story, look, it happens all the time. Look at Charlie Chaplin. Look at Hollywood. Look at showbiz. Happens all the time. So question 2. And again, I'd love your thoughts if you want to pass them in the comments. Person X left the company in 2021, offered a package of support. What are the details? And if so, how much? So we're hearing rumours, 100 grand payoff, NDA, ends in July 2023. Non-disclosure agreement. Here's 100 grand, you can't talk about it. Okay. I'm hearing another rumour, and I don't know whether there's any truth in this, that Matthew McGreevy's being paid 4 grand a week or a month. Hang on, it works out about $500,000 over 10 years. So he's being paid 4 grand a pop, 50 G's a year, so it's a month. 10 years. Why would they be paying that much money to keep him quiet for 10 years? Why? So what is there to come out? And 3, I said to you, there's only 5. 3, Dame Carolyn McCall, zero tolerance for abusive position. So I would have asked Dame Carolyn McCall, and it's a question that I can ask you, why do you think they didn't mention Ruth Langsford's complaint? Why? Not even an explanation. They just said there was 2. Gave the detail of 1 and then moved on. As I've said before in this video, why the mainstream media calling Matthew McGreevy Person X? There has to be a reason. Are they trying to protect him from the wolves? Well, the media are the wolves. The general public are just, they know there's a rabbit away. Not a hare, curly. They know there's a rabbit away. And people are not necessarily wanting answers, but they're just looking at these people involved squarely in the eye going, we know that Philip lied. Are you? We want to know the truth, because the truth is very important. No truth, they'll just step right over this whole thing, and they'll get to September going, that was a summer and a half. If it ever comes back as This Morning in its current format. I don't think it will. I think Holly might, if the money's right. I'm a poet, I didn't know it. I think she's being given an opportunity to work with Craig Doyle and Dermot O'Leary and all the others to see which one works best for them and works best for the programme and works best for ITV. So they're trying them all out. Haven't you noticed that? And 5, my final question. Why didn't Schofe and Matthew just give an interview about being in love or being in a relationship and the relief of coming clean? Layers. So why? Because I think the audience would have just gone, yeah, all right, we knew. As I've said to you before, I knew Philip Schofield was gay in the 80s. Everybody knew in the media. Well, all right, I can't say that for definite. But there was quite a few people knew. We didn't care. Somebody's sexuality, so long as they weren't doing anything illegal, was not our business. And it still isn't our business. As I've said to you before, love is all there is. And if you find love at any point in your life, hold on to it. If Philip Schofield found true love in his 50s, good on him. I mean, what he did to his wife is beyond reproach. Because he's not mentioning her at all, is he? They split. Or if it wasn't for my daughters. He's gaslighting his ex-wife. Or wife. Is he still wearing his wedding ring? So this whole sorry tale yesterday in front of the Commons Committee, I would have gone a few steps further and I would have asked some more pointed questions for them to answer. I thought Dame Carolyn McCall gave a very good account of herself, although she was very nervous. You could see that a mile away. Kevin Ligo, he just told the truth. He just went, yeah, there you go. He lied to me. I asked him. He lied to me. How do you make this go away? There's no truth, Kevin. So I don't know whether you've seen it. Don't know whether you've seen any excerpts of the committee event. But for me, there's now more questions than actual answers given. And let's see how things move on. My name's Adrian Allen. Thank you for your likes. Hopefully you'll click on the thummy things. Ding the bell so you'll get the next video. But most of all, thank you for your indulgence. My name's Adrian Allen. I'll see you in the next video.